I think it's interesting that you bring that up, Fernando, because everyone is building agentic security into what they're doing, right? But it's their flavor of it. So just to kind of spread this metaphor out a little bit, if you built agentic security for a car, it would look very different than agentic security for a commercial airliner or a bus. And that's not bad because it's very specific to what those modes of transportation need, right? But when users take a look at what they're trying to do, they're willing to go to places that maybe we didn't think about first. And I love that you brought up OpenClaw, because OpenClaw to me flips the dynamic on its head. We went from everyone telling us how important that agents were going to be and how critical it was that we adopt them. And then OpenClaw comes out at the beginning of 2026 and quite literally wrecks everybody's plans for at least for the first half of the year, because OpenClaw's adoption was like meteoric. Everybody wanted to use it because it was solving real problems, right? It was summarizing my daily news. It was answering my emails. It was dealing with text messages. It was doing what a user's version of agentic AI was doing, which was helping me out, basically acting like a major domo. And the vendors were caught flat-footed because that's not what they wanted agent to do. So they had to quickly pivot to do other things. And that's one of the things we've seen in the time since RSAC is that a lot of companies are releasing their version of OpenClaw. They're skating to where the customers are, to use a hockey metaphor, to say, this is what you want and we're going to deliver it. And I love that you brought up Steve Jobs in the original comparison, because very much Steve Jobs was I'm going to tell you what you want. In fact, what's the famous quote? I don't deliver what people think they want. I deliver what they need, or some variation thereof. I'm sure the
Customers
people
don't
on
know
Hacker
what they
News will
want. I
correct
think
me.
it's something, but yes, yeah,
Yeah.
on track.
And that's what people are like. But then you look at someone like a Tim Cook, who recently announced he's stepping down from Apple. He was very much in the vein of, I'm going to give the people kind of what they want. You know, a slightly faster horse that eats less hay, to quote Ford. They're not going to break new ground, but they're going to continue to sell units because they're delivering the things that people have said that they want. And I think that every once in a while, the tension between what a company offers and what a customer wants gets to the point where it snaps. It breaks like a twig or a rubber band, and it has to snap back to the middle. And I think OpenClaw was one of those points where the user perception of what AI is, because AI is so diverse now, it has reached so many different areas of all business, finally stretched the band too far. And everyone's like, no, we have to reset. This isn't about having virtual chatbot agents that are filing tickets on my behalf and all this other stuff. This is about dealing with my deluge of email every day.
You know, I think there's a lesson to learn that we're seeing happening again. You mentioned the cloud and how that took off, Fernando. My version of it is one of the main reasons why it took off is because a credit card and a web browser, you now have infrastructure. There's accessibility to it is extremely accessible to anyone who wanted it. Now, the audience for that is not the same audience as AI. Why did MCP take off last year? There was a need, and nobody had an easy solution to it. Anthropic came up with the MCP server concept. It took off. This year, that's OpenClaw. So what is it about OpenClaw? Is yes, it does meaningful things, Tom. It's also easily accessible. Anybody can download it. Anybody can get themselves in a bad security spot or a good one. And the vendors are responding to that. And I think where we're all going with this, and security will either lead or follow, and that is accessibility at the enterprise level. And that's why companies like Salesforce connecting what you're talking about, Fernando, connecting their traditional agent capability or Salesforce capability into Agentforce and making AI easily accessible to their developers. I was at their TDX developer conference, and there wasn't a bright line between this is AI and agents and this is traditional development that we do on Salesforce. They very much blended that line to help people get there quickly and easily. And as the stack gets more vertically integrated, especially with Google and Microsoft and Anthropic and folks all the way down to the chip level, AWS, where we're headed out this week to some announcements. I think that we're ending up in an environment where if it's vertically integrated, meaning it's easier to run, easier to use, and it's accessible to the people who need to build stuff on it, I think that's going to be a big determinant of who the winners are.
Yes, and